Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Terry, bringing you another show today. This is going to be my Indiana preview. We got one day left until Ohio State football. Had college football on last night, so it's the best time of the year. I can't wait to get going here. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to give my predicted depth chart for the Indiana game, and then I'm going to get into some things that I hope to see Ohio State do schematically. I'm not an X's and O's guy, but there are some things that I see that I like and that I want to see. So we'll get into that. And then I'll get into my final score prediction and what I think that the takeaway is going to be from this as an Ohio State fan. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start with the depth chart. Some of the positions are more nuanced. I'll be going into them. Some of them are just kind of cut and clear and dry, and we'll just go over those pretty quickly. So the first position I wanted to talk about is the quarterback position. We have Kyle McCord and we have Devin Brown. Obviously, Kyle McCord is going to be the starter. Ryan Day said that Devin Brown's going to play. I'm hoping that they. I shouldn't even say I'm hoping. I don't really know what the situation is on who's the best quarterback or not. But if Ryan Day says that the quarterback battle is still going, he wants to play him. I hope he does that in the first half. Let us see both of them, and it'll play out right in front of our eyes. And may even have to do that a couple games. We'll see. And then we'll move on from the quarterbacks, though. There's not really too much. I mean, I think they're both going to be really good. That's where I'll leave it at. But moving on to the next position will be the running backs. So I think the depth chart is going to look like Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams, Chip Trainum, Dallin Hayden, and then Evan Pryor. Ryan Day just discussed that on his presser that he did the other day, and that was the guys that he mentioned. So that's kind of what I expect it to be. That's the order he mentioned them in. I think Trey is kind of 1A above everybody. So we'll see how that works out. And then the next position that I wanted to discuss was the offensive tackle position. So Ohio State has two new offensive tackles. Obviously, we have Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones last year, who are both going to be playing in the NFL, playing on Sundays. So Ohio State now has Josh Simmons and Josh Fryer. So Simmons is your left tackle, Josh Fryer is your right tackle. Both of them are kind of question marks. I mean, we've seen Fryer play one game last year, but I mean, again, it was really only one game. It wasn't a ton of reps. So we'll see what he looks like. And Simmons is coming in from, I can't even think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, he's coming in as a transfer from a lower level school. So we'll see how that works out. And then behind those two, I think Luke Montgomery will be the first to come in. If anything, if they needed another guy to come in, he's a true freshman, but we've heard nothing but good things about him. So I'm hoping that, if there is a need to play that guy, maybe we'll get to see him. And then we'll move on to the offensive guards. So obviously we have returning offensive guards. We have Donovan Jackson and Matt Jones. I think both of those guys are going to be playing on Sundays. I think they're both solid players. I would think that the first one coming off the bench would be Enoch Vamahi. There could be other guys in there too, but that's one guy that I know has been here for a long time. So we'll kind of see where how that plays out once they bring in the second offensive guard unit. And then we have the center position. It seems like Carson Hinsman's kind of locked that up. I've heard nothing but good things good things about him from camp. And then I think the first one in will be Victor Cutler, another guy who came in as a transfer, I think from like Louisiana State or something like that. But I heard that he made a late push for the job, and he should be a really solid backup for Carson Hinsman. And then the next position that I want to talk about was the tight end. So I think that we had Cade Stover from last year. I think he's going to start again this year. I do expect to see more of Joe Royer and also G. Scott. I want to see those guys succeed. As both of them came here and have kind of been through a lot since they've been here. So I want to see those guys in. I think Joe Royer is like a traditional tight end with long arms and a big body. I really think that he can create a lot of mismatches. So I hope to see him a lot in the game this year. And then we'll move on to the wide receiver position. So obviously we have the returners or the returning receivers with Marv, Emeka, and Julian Fleming. And then I think, the next three guys on that list is probably going to be Carnell Tate as a true freshman. We've heard nothing but good things about him. Marv said he is ahead of where he was in his sophomore year, so last year, which Marv went crazy last year. So I think we'll have Carnell Tate, Jaden Ballard, and then Xavier Johnson. Obviously, Xavier Johnson's kind of that Swiss Army knife. He comes out of the backfield, comes in at the slot, and does some different things. So that's what I expect to see out of the receivers for at least the first six. Now, let's move on from the offense and move over to the defense. There's not too much nuance, I don't think, in the defensive end room. I think you have. I mean, the only possible nuance there could be is if Kenyatta could maybe take one of the one spots, but I don't see that happening yet. We got to see him produce in order for that to happen. So it looks like we have JT Tuimoloau and then Jack Sawyer, and then behind them is going to be Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry. They do a lot of rotating anyway, so we'll see Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry in the game a lot. Hopefully, those guys will make some plays, and we'll continue pushing the guys ahead of them to maybe get some first team reps. Even though again they all rotate constantly, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just semantics. So moving on to the D line position, the interior guys. So I'm going to kind of list off the names. All these guys are going to play. They're all going to rotate. Some of them are situational, which I'll get into that. So we have Mike Hall and we have Ty Hamilton are the first two I want to mention. I think these are probably the first two that are going to come on the field. That's why I mentioned them. Mike Hall, I mean, everything we've heard about him is good. He looked really completely dominant when he was healthy last year. And then Ty Hamilton, I think, is he's an older guy. He's really solid and stout in the run game. I expect to see those two come out first. Behind them, you have guys like Tyleek Williams, Tywone Malone, and Hero Canoe. I mean, all these guys I think have their specialties that they're able to do, and I think that's a good thing for a defensive line room. Obviously, you want them to be able to do everything, and that comes with time. They're going to learn. Larry Johnson is a great defensive line coach, so I expect to see a lot of really good things from these guys this year. I think Tywone Malone mentioned that he's trying to get better at pass rushing, but he was already really good at stopping the run. Tyleek Williams, I think, is a guy who maybe just needs to get a little bit better at his assignment run stopping, things like that. But I expect all those guys to take a big leap this year. So the interior of our defensive line could be 5 deep and all be really good players this year. So that's super exciting. And then moving on to the linebacker position. Again, we have returning starters. I think Tommy and Steele, at least to start the year, are going to be the starters. I do think I expect a heavy rotation with C.J. Hicks and Cody Simon to be in there. I hope that they do it like alternating, maybe like let me see Tommy Eichenberg with C.J. Hicks on the field. Let me see Steele Chambers and Cody Simon on the field. And depending on what the situation is in the game, obviously we can let us see Cody Simon and C.J. Hicks on the field together. Hopefully they'll mix it up this year, unless something goes wrong and one of those players is a liability, which I mean we've seen that happen in the past where Ohio State rotates players even though the guys that they're rotating in are a liability. If it happens like that, then definitely don't do that in an important moment in the game. I know we've had issues with that in the past, which I hate to see that. And then the next position I wanted to go into was the cornerback position. I think that depth chart looks like Denzel Burke, Davison Igbinosun, and then Jordan Hancock. I don't know. I hear a lot of good things about Jordan Hancock, but to hear that he's working in the slot or the nickel role, I don't think that they're going to take their 1A starting corner and make him also, or outside corner, excuse me, and make him also practice in the nickel role. I don't know. We'll see how it works out, but I think all three of those guys are capable. I think they're really good, so hopefully they'll have a big year. The next position is the slot or the nickel position that I just talked about. Now, I know that a lot of us want a corner in that position, but it seems like that's going to be the way that they're going to get Sonny Styles on the field. At least that's the position they call it. I don't really think it's his position. I think Sonny Styles is the Sonny Styles position, and he should be able to do everything from what we've seen from him. He's a crazy athlete. So, but I think they're going to use that nickel position as a third linebacker. They may use it as a true nickel and have him play like man or, in that position. And I also think that you're going to see Sonny Styles dropping back into coverage or even going after the quarterback. So I think he's going to be doing a little bit of everything. Behind him in that position, I would say if a team has a really good third receiver and they're looking to pass the ball a lot, or maybe they're running 4 receivers, whatever they're doing, where you need that extra corner on the field, I think Jordan Hancock will be the first one to come in that position, and then Sonny Styles hopefully would stay on the field and move back to like a strong safety or even a free safety position. It's interesting to see how they're going to do that. And then the strong safety position in this defense is Lathan Ransom. I honestly don't even know who the backup is. I haven't even heard much of guys repping in that position as the backup. I mean, maybe it's Sonny Styles and they would move somebody else into the position he's in. I'm not sure, but Lathan is the guy that's got that position locked down. The free safety position, we have a battle going on, and I expect to see all of these guys with Jahad Carter, Malik Hartford, and Josh Proctor. Just a little bit about those guys. Jahad Carter transferred in from Syracuse. He's an older guy, got a lot of playing time. Malik Hartford is a true freshman, but the kid looks promising. He looks like he's ready to make plays, and he know like the one thing that I heard about him that um, told me that he's really got what it takes is Lathan Ransom said he's smart. He knows every single thing. He knows what he's supposed to do. He knows his assignments. So a guy who's super athletic and just a playmaker who's also very smart and is able to learn the playbook and know exactly what his job is. He may end up being in the starting free safety. And then you have Josh Proctor, again, a guy who was always a freak athlete, came in as a highly recruited guy, but he's been here since like 2018. I think the 2021 season he could have been the starter. Then I think he like broke his leg or something crazy. So again, it's terrible to see that. I like the guy though. He seems like he's been good for the program. I want him to get some time in the game and just let it play out. I mean, if he took the next step and he's ready to be a really good player, let him play. So we'll see how that goes. So that's going to be it for my prediction for the depth chart. I'm going to move on here to some things that I would like to see Ohio State do schematically. Now, again, I don't get too much into schematics. I don't know it enough, but I do know that I see things that work or that maybe I see. For one example of this will be Jim Knowles mentioned all the time that he likes to disguise his defense. Okay, so he says, you may see it'll look like a 2 high, but it'll actually be a 1 high, or basically you'll see blitz, but there's not blitz. He said he likes to disguise his defense, and I think I saw that at the beginning of last year, but as the year went on, I feel like we saw that less and less. Like it seemed like when they lined up against, like say Michigan, okay, you see all the guys come up to the line of scrimmage like it looks like it's an all-out blitz. Every single time it was an all-out blitz. If you just line up like that one time and drop back into coverage, that changes the whole perception of what you're doing on defense. So I hope to see more of that. I feel like against teams like Notre Dame and things like that, we saw more of that. Even just the guys looking confident, like you would see Tommy Eichenberg coming up to the line looking like he's about to scream towards the quarterback, and then all of a sudden he'll drop back into coverage. Or, again, you see him take a step back like he's going to drop back into coverage and then go. It feels like just little things like that confuse the other team. We saw that early on, and then it just all went away, and it seemed like we were just playing man-to-man coverage and just trying to get after the quarterback. And, obviously in the Michigan game and the Georgia game, that didn't go so well. And then on offense, what I want to see, let me see. Let me think about this because I didn't take down anything. I want to see more gap run schemes. Ohio State ran a lot of stretch last year for some reason. Now, I'm a guy who likes to go back and check out highlights and things like that. I was just watching Travion Henderson's highlights from 2021 the other day, and almost every single run that he had a big highlight on, it was a gap scheme. Now, obviously, the offensive line was completely different and all that stuff back then, but schematically, those types of plays are, I think, what Travion Henderson's best at. I think he wants to get to the hole, make one cut, and go, as opposed to, a stretch play where you have to get down the line, everybody's moving side to side, and then you find a hole and get through it. Obviously, the stretch play is going to be part of the offense. I'm completely fine with that, but I want to see some of that gap scheme. I want to see some more downhill running. I want to see our linemen get their hands on somebody and push them out of the way and let Travion Henderson decide where he wants to go. And I think that he's going to have a big day if we do see that. All right, so let's move on to my final takeaways as an Ohio State fan, what I'm expecting, and then what I think the final score of this game is going to be. So I think that as an Ohio State fan, once we leave this game, I think that we're still going to be unsure about our starting quarterback. That's one of the takeaways I think we're going to have. I think they're both going to play well, maybe have a little bit different skill set, but I think they're both going to play well, and the offense around them is so good that they're going to be able to move the ball down the field and they're going to be able to put points on the board. I think that we're going to feel a little refreshed with the defense because I think we're going to see corners make some plays that they were not making last year, just getting their hand on the ball when it's in the air. I think I even predicted an interception or a couple interceptions for one person, something like that. But again, I think that we're going to leave this game super excited for what we're going to see for the rest of the year. And then I'll wrap this up with just what I think my final score is going to be. I think Ohio State is going to put a lot of points on the board, and I think their defense is even going to score. So I'm going to say the final score of this game is going to be 48-7. That's what I'm going to leave it at. I think Ohio State gets a big win. They start the year off looking strong. Obviously, I think when they first start the game, the first quarter, first half, it may look a little sloppy, but I think that Ohio State really turns it on late in the game, and they finish them off and move on to the next game. I'm going to wrap this up here. Thanks for coming out. You have a good day.